So I think most generalist software engineers, especially like a senior software engineer who's a generalist, even without any specific AI background, like I would posit that, say 2 to 3 months of self-study, you could be great as a generative AI ML engineer.
What's self-study?
Yeah, I mean, so I think a lot of people assume self-study means I'm going to hole up in a, little cave and going to just, read a bunch of stuff and hack on projects and stuff. And I don't know, like, I think that makes sense. Like, I think it's a very traditional way to look at it. And, you would make progress probably doing that. But I think you miss two very important things. And so what we were talking to her about is, like, number one is proof of work. And the number two is a community of people who are kind of all going through the same thing that you are. And so if for number one, proof of work, so everybody, if you're trying to turn yourself from a generalist software engineer to kind of a generative AI engineer, you probably would do well to have some evidence of what you have accomplished at the end of your self-study. So first, go in with a mindset that you're going to start from scratch, learn a bunch of stuff, and you're going to document your learnings. And you're just going to share them with whoever else might be going through the same thing. Because a lot of times when people are imagining, oh, like, I shouldn't share something unless I'm an expert. And really, if you're going through it, there's probably other people who would be going through a similar thing. If you could give them the keys to unlock the skills that you're unlocking, that's going to be a benefit. So by showing your work, and that demonstration could be you're contributing to an open source project, you're starting a new open source project to help you accomplish something that you want to do, you're building and deploying a generative AI application. Could be a triviality, a toy, something just fun, but you're doing that in a way where the result is you have a deployed URL that you can share with people and they can play with. And I think if you get to that point, then you can actually, share it with people, like maybe a future employer or a future collaborator. And it could be a blog post of like, here's the steps I took to go from being a general software engineer to an ML engineer. Like, first I read this thing and that was a bad path. And then I read this thing and that actually was productive. And here's my syllabus of like the 15 must-have resources to go through that journey. Like, there's no syllabus for this right now. The world needs a syllabus. I've heard from plenty of senior engineers who want to get into generative AI. But they want to, and everybody can do it on their own and hack their own way, but like, why not accelerate your learnings accelerate the world's learnings by you going through the pain and documenting the pain to enable other people to get there faster. So I think
Great thing about like the community.
Right. So the one thing is proof of work. The other one is community. And I think they're both kind of critical and they play off and they interplay with each other. But it's like, if you're going through this thing, I mean, like we heard this morning, right? She had the problem and then we know another guy who has the same problem. And they're each thinking about this at the same time. They're going to kind of go through a similar process independently. It'd be so much better if at least the two of them are connected so that they could go through that process together. And I bet if the two of them were connected and they said, just even tweet out something like, hey, we're starting a little, ML self-study group for Gen AI, yeah. I think you would end up having at least a few people show up who also want to learn that. And you have to do your own filtering and, does this person look credible? Are they at the same stage that we're at, and they want to go in the same direction that we want to go? So you have at least enough commonalities, but it would really help if you have 3 people, 4 people, 5 people who are all kind of going through it together. It reminds me of kind of like, well, it's just like you'll go down a path somebody else has already explored it. They're like, no, I know what you're doing. I've been there. It doesn't work. What you need to do is use this library instead or something, right? Check out this GitHub repo. This is actually the one that solves the thing you're trying to do. Don't waste your time with that. Because like any creative exploration process, you end up having to go down dead ends. And if you're going down this creative process with other people who are kind of at the same stage, going through similar process, they're exploring dead ends, you're exploring different dead ends, and you can all short circuit each other's dead ends. So the more that you guys get common learnings, the more you can sort of accelerate all of your learning. I mean, this is like, I think Mr. Beast is famous for, I think when he went from, his first, 0 or first 2,000 YouTube subscribers until maybe he hit 100,000 or 1 million, or I forget what the number is. But he had like this mastermind group. I think there were like 4 or 5 YouTubers who were all trying to build their own channel. And, there's all kinds of things about how do you, like, what kind of content do you make, and how do you structure your content? Is it narrative, and how do you do the titles and the thumbnails? And I don't know all of the details of what they were covering, but they were just obsessive. I think they had like a WhatsApp group or some chat group, and they were on it, I think he said 16 or 18 hours a day. They were all on it learning together. And when you learn together, you just learn faster, because if you're talking about your problems, I'm trying to do this, somebody says, no, check, don't bother with that, go this way instead. Or, I found a tool that actually helps with that thing. So if you have that self-study group, you just all get there faster. Now, to get the self-study group, you need people who are like, Mr. B's not going to help you, as a new YouTuber, kind of figure out your way. He's already kind of been there, done that. You need to find the people that are kind of in the same position that you're in. They're sort of in the same, they're sort of at the beginning of the journey, if you're at the beginning of the journey, and they want to go in a similar direction, like you want to, like even just, you want to do generative AI projects. That's, I think, enough similar direction. Maybe somebody wants to start a company, somebody else wants to join a company, maybe somebody else wants to, I don't know, create a YouTube channel to explain how generative AI works, right? So, but you all have that common theme. You don't necessarily want the same goal or outcome, but you all kind of have a common theme of what you want to learn, and you're starting with enough kind of similar starting place. So if that thing already exists, you already know 2 or 3 people around, just join that one, great. If it doesn't exist, start it. And it doesn't have to be a huge scale thing. It could be 5 or 10 people. WhatsApp group. It could be 3 people, it could be 5 people. But I think once you have a thing, like, I have a little generative AI thing. Next time you meet somebody who's working on generative AI and they're asking you similar questions, you can sort of evaluate and be like, actually, I've got a little group going. You might want to do it in the group. There's a lot of good stuff that comes out of the group, and it might help you. And so then you end up with, start with 5 people in the group, now you got 6. And then, another problem comes up, or another person comes up in somebody else's life. Similar starting point, now you got 7. Then you got 8. And what happens is you're all learning together, and you all kind of understand each other's work. So you're probably using each other's tools and giving feedback. Maybe you're writing about the process of doing the group. Maybe you're launching a new kind of hack project or prototype. Well, now you have kind of the built-in early supporters, early believers, like the people in your mastermind group, right? That are all kind of trying to do the same thing. And they're helping you get where you want to be through usage, through roadblocks, unsticking you from roadblocks. And everybody's kind of paying it forward to each other. So, then it turns out like, look, okay, maybe you're going to go found a company with these new skills. Great. Well, now you maybe have co-founders, or maybe you're going to join a company. And one of the big things of value you can bring when joining a company is being able to attract talent. It's like probably the most valuable role that you can play in a company is being able to attract talent. everybody thinks, oh, I have to have a specific skill and be able to do the work. Like, yes, I'm not saying you should not have to do the work. You should have to do the work. But it's, in a hyper-growth environment, it's very surprising, but it's very true that it's more important to be able to hire and recruit than it is to be able to do the job. It sounds crazy, right? It sounds like some bizarre, kind of like, it just sounds wrong, right? But I'm not saying you should just become like an HR recruiter person, right? Like, you have to actually be good at the thing, because otherwise you're just not credible. You're just, some sort of recruiter process type person. You're not actually going to attract the best people. But if you actually are good, for every hour that you spend, writing code, if you could have spent that hour bringing in a new person of equal talent, that's actually more valuable to the organization in a hyperscale environment. Not every, it's not for a 3-person startup that's on the case to be direct to go. But if you're 50 people scaling to 150, probably recruiting becomes more valuable. But in any team, it's important to get people together. Like, that's ultimately, how you accomplish more is you collaborate. And if you have this mastermind group already formed, then you're going to be able to collaborate and bring people along. Maybe they thought they were going to start a company and you decide to join a company and it's super exciting what you're working on, and they actually decide to not start the company, and instead they want to join the company that you join your team. Or maybe they start the company and you get excited about that and decide to join them. Or maybe, somebody else is starting a generative AI YouTube channel, and now they can, talk to each about your projects and use that as part of their generative AI, content that they want to create and share.